Welcome to Raving Ryan. I'm your host, Ryan Anastasio. Today I have a very special guest, the Secretary of the State of Connecticut, Denise Merrill. Madam Secretary, how are you?
I'm great.
Can you tell us a little about yourself and how you ended up as the Secretary of the State?
Sure. Well, I was a mom with 3 kids. I was also a lawyer, but didn't work part-time. I was just part-time. And I was in my community of Mansfield, Connecticut, which is out where the University of Connecticut is. And I got interested in my kids' education. So one of my sons, the youngest, I didn't think his math program was good enough. Yeah. So I got involved trying to get a better math program, and we did it. And I joined a group of parents, and that was my first taste of activism. And after that, someone said to me, hey, you'd be good if you ran for office. So I ran for the Board of Education and was on the Board of Education for a while. And then there was a vacancy for state representative. And somebody said, you know, why don't you run? And I thought, gee, I never thought about it, but why not me? So I ran, and I won. And I was in the legislature for 17 years. But I was always really, really interested in issues like the power of money to influence politics. I really was interested in campaign finance reform and electoral reform. And I was also a teacher. Yeah. So I was really interested in social studies and taught about civic education. So those were the things I got involved in.
Yeah, in your role as Secretary of State, you oversee many divisions such as elections and voting, information technology, and others. Secretary Merrill, this is a job with lots of responsibilities. Can you tell us a little bit more about this office and its responsibilities?
Sure. Most people know me as someone who oversees elections, and that is an important part of what I do. But I also am the chief business registrar of the state. So, for example, we register all the businesses. If you want to start a business, you have to come to our office and register with us first. So we register and file papers for about 360,000 businesses in Connecticut. We also do the Connecticut Blue Book. We file lots of papers. We're sort of like a filing cabinet in many ways. We're kind of like a super town clerk's office, only for the whole state.
Yeah, and there has been talk in the legislative session to award Connecticut's Electoral College votes to the winner of the nationwide popular vote. Secretary Merrill, to me this would be like taking away millions of voters' say in the election. Do you agree with this proposal?
I do, actually, and I don't know why you would say it would take votes away. To me, it's pretty simple. It's just like the person who gets the most votes wins. And I think American people would understand it better, too. The original purpose of the Electoral College has changed. It was supposed to be a group of wise people, men at the time, who could, in case some really popular but bad person was elected or was going to be elected president, that they could intervene and use their own judgment because they would theoretically know these people. It doesn't work that way anymore, and it's kind of been taken over by party politics, so I think it's a problem.
So would you be in favor of abolishing the Electoral College?
I would, actually, yes.
Okay. There's been a lot of talk in the legislative session about talking about early voting. Why do you think early voting would be good for the state?
Well, I think it would be good for the voters of the state. You know, everyone was calling my office during the last election because all over the country, in most other states now, except 2 or 3, you vote on different days besides Election Day. I think that's a good thing for people because a lot of people now work on Tuesdays, can't take time off. We should have more opportunities for people to be able to vote. I'm all for anything that makes it better for the voters to be able to cast their vote.
Yeah, but what do you say to people that say that people should be voting at the same time because new developments could come up in the campaign? For example, this year the FBI came out with new reports in Hillary Clinton's emails. So what do you think new developments come out in the campaign and that people can vote without having enough information?
Well, by the way, a campaign is always a snapshot in time. Yeah. Later on, information came out that the whole FBI investigation and revelations about the emails was all wrong. So that happened after the election. Yeah. I mean, you know, there's always going to be more information at any point in time. So for me, I think if we had early voting, I would only do a few days of early voting. Okay. I think a much bigger problem is that there's long lines on Election Day. Yeah. Lots of people can't stand in a line for 1 or 2 hours, and I think that's wrong.
Yeah, would you ever consider maybe trying to split Connecticut's Electoral College votes like Nebraska and Maine do?
No, I think that would just exacerbate the problem, actually, because the problem now is that because things have been so gerrymandered over the years, that the districts are so uniform. I mean, there's too many districts where it's just no contest. That's one of the reasons up till now people just haven't been voting. They don't think there's any point. And so that has to be addressed. And I think that would just exacerbate the problem.
Yeah, and how would you address that?
What, the gerrymandering?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to make a proposal before the next census to pay more attention, for example, to town lines. I mean, towns get split into 6 and 7 different sections. So even just from administrating an election, the town of Torrington, for example, has 7 different ballots. It's a small town. Yeah. You know, so that should be overridden. That should be the overriding interest, should be the interest of the voters and administering the elections fairly. So, you know, the problem is it gets worse and worse because now with technology, you can go right down and carve out one house into a district if you want it to be more Republican or Democratic. I think that just has to stop.
Yeah, and President Donald Trump has said several times that 3 to 5 million people voted illegally in the election that he won. As someone who administers elections in the state, what is it like for the President of the United States to make this allegation that has been proven false?
All I can say is the first time I've seen a sore winner complaining about winning. What can I say? I just think it's been so overblown, and unfortunately, we have a tendency to just sort of gallop off in the direction that somebody makes an allegation, you know, like this, which is completely unsubstantiated with any evidence. But it gets the public's attention, and everybody gets going in that direction, and I think that's why he does it.
Yeah, and speaking of voter fraud, did you see any instances of voter fraud this past election cycle in Connecticut?
Well, the short answer is no. We always have complaints that come in from people who think they've seen something wrong at the polls, and that doesn't come to my office, actually. It goes to something called the Election Enforcement Commission, which is a nonpartisan, non-party-based commission. And I think somebody told me there were about 16 complaints filed. Most of them have turned out to be not true, or, you know, a mistake. Usually it's a mistake, clerical error. Somebody crosses off Bob Sr. instead of Bob Jr. or something like that.
Yeah, and after the election, there was lots of talk of Russian meddling in the election. While the Obama administration has said that this is an issue, the Trump administration has dismissed the claims. Do you think Russia tried to interfere in the election, and what do you think we can do to stop it?
I don't know, but I think the worst thing about it is that it is destroying the Americans' people's sense that their elections are fair and untampered with. So I think we have to do anything we can to stop that kind of interference. It's treasonous, really. Whether it actually happened, I'll let the Congress figure that out. But there should be an investigation. It's a very serious allegation.
And have you seen any evidence to prove that Russia did meddle in the election?
No, not from our end. I mean, people have to understand it's impossible to hack an American election. When they're talking about Russian interference, they're not talking about with the election. They're talking about with the DNC emails. That's not even a governmental body. So people have to realize, that's what makes me upset, is that people think this is all about, the election and the machines were tampered with. Can't be. Our machines, our election, the machine you vote on is not connected to the internet. There's not a single voting machine in the country that's connected to the internet. So, and I think people are getting it all mixed up.
And you currently serve as the president of the National Association of Secretaries of State. This is a 1-year term, and it switches off between Republican and Democrat each year. Can you tell us a bit more about the association and what it is like to be the head of it?
It's great because it's the one place all the Republicans and Democrats can talk to each other, and they sort of all complain together about the things that are going on. And so it's great. I think it's important to have places like that where we can all talk. You know, when I was first in politics in the 1990s, we all used to go out to dinner together. We were all friends. And it's not true anymore. It's played more like baseball, like team sports, where you're not supposed to talk to the other team. So I think that places like the National Association are great places to get things done and really talk about how you can solve problems. And
I want to finish up with some personal questions. Do you have any hobbies?
Oh, yeah, lots. Gardening, big time. I'm a classical pianist, so I play the piano. And that was my first career, actually.
Oh, wow. And Connecticut is really well known for its pizza. Some people might call it Connecticut pizza heaven. Do you have a favorite pizza restaurant in the state?
I got to go with Sally's.
And you have a favorite pizza?
Yeah, it'd be the white pizza. I know it's not traditional. The other place that's great, though, is Willington Pizza. I have to put in a plug for my hometown out there because they have the famous potato garlic pizza. It's fantastic. Got to try it.
And I want to finish up with there's going to be an election. I mean, you're up for re-election in 2018. There's an election for governor. There's a re-election for senator. There's also all the congressional seats up. Would you consider running for maybe governor or anything else, or would you rather stay as Secretary of the State?
Oh boy, I have no idea. Depends what happens next.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's sitting around wondering the same thing, I think. But I love what I'm doing.
As Secretary Merrill, I'd like to thank you for coming on. Thank you for watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can go to ravingryan.com. Follow Secretary Merrill on Facebook and Twitter, and follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Reporting Raving Ryan, I'm Ryan Anastasio.